Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to go over the most recent update from Zion Oil and Gas. We're also going to go over one from back in 2018, August 16th, 2018. We're going to kind of compare the two updates here, talk a little bit about that, talk about the price, and then kind of go from there. But I just want to kind of go over like a previous update and go over the current update to show the similarities and also the differences between it. So this is from August 16th, 2018. This is regarding the MJ01 well, and it says additional testing is needed to evaluate reservoir potential. And it says Zion Oil and Gas, this is while they were listed on the NASDAQ, announced that it is completing the initial testing program of its primary zones located where the MJ01 well was located. And it says Zion's President and Chief Operations Officer Dustin Gwynn makes the following statement concerning the MJ01 well. Zion has sincere desire to be transparent in the details of our operations with our shareholders. Boy, how times have changed that. So for a number of reasons, most of our shareholders share a passionate alignment with the vision of Zion that extends beyond financial success. We view our shareholders as partners in the journey, which has been difficult to say the least. As a result, the operations update will be longer and more detailed than most, and will be subdivided to try to answer some of the most common questions. And they asked, did they find oil? And they said we encountered oil at a depth of between 16,415 feet and 16,500 feet during the drilling operations when we circulated bottoms up. The oil was separated and tested initially and externally through our mud logging company's chromatograph indicated light oil based on the chemical composition of the analyzed stream. Third-party petrophysical analysis of our open hole logs continue to suggest that oil is located in this zone as well as other zones of interest. And while they tested those depths, they perforated the casing and performed a small acid stimulation job. Upon circulation of the acid out of the wellbore, minor amounts of oil were observed while taking small samples of the fluid being circulated out of the wellbore. Following the circulation of the fluid after the stimulation job, we ran back into the hole and began to swab the well to attempt to see if it would flow or how well it would flow. As the time of writing this update, when swabbing, the data confirms the well artificially flows at a rate of approximately 90 to 110 barrels of fluid per day in the zone between 16,415 and 16,500. We are still swabbing completion fluid as the time of writing these results of the well are inconclusive at this point as to whether it'll be establish a natural flow and what the volumetric contribution of the oil and water will be. We remain hopeful but do not yet know if there is producible oil in commercial quantities with our deep primary zones, and there are still many questions yet to be answered. However, we can say that with reasonable confidence that the formation is tight with low permeability and has few natural fractures. This is not uncommon and oftentimes require advanced stimulation techniques to help determine the well's commercial potential. So as you see there, it's almost pretty similar to what they said in our most recent update in regards to telling us, hey, we are at a certain point, we still don't know all the answers, and we're not really sure if it's actually going to be commercially viable or not. Okay, and that's basically what they said here. And if you look back over here, the same thing, right? They said we're encouraged, but more work needs to be done. We have no assurance if the zone's going to produce hydrocarbons or not. And it comes down and talks about asking if was it a successful well, and instead it could be answered in a number of different ways. But the question means, is it successful? You could say yes or no instead of dancing around, obviously, but they kind of give a decent explanation of, in considering the success rate of wildcat wells with little to no offset data, in our opinion, the MJ01 could be considered a geologic success as follows. A very favorable thermal gradient has been shown to exist. MJ01 has successfully demonstrated the existence of an active petroleum system. Oil has been encountered, which we believe concerns the mature source rocks have been expelled. Hydrocarbons that have migrated into a trap, which was drilled by the MJ01, and there are multiple identifiable targets and objectives that have been observed based on drilling, testing, and petrophysical analysis, which we have yet to test. Is the well commercially successful? with the information that we have currently have as of writing this update during the testing of the deepest zone of interest? And they said the answer is no. The drilling and testing on this well was much more costly than we expected, and as of today cannot be considered commercially successful. And then they talk about what was the cause of the delays. Well, they talk about, you know, some of the Jewish holidays. They only drilled during the daytime. And where was this? Let's see, there's one part they talk about the Packer. I think it's number 5. Okay, it says primary zones where all have been testing were located at greater depth of 16,000 feet. Every time we run into the hole and out of the hole, it took an average of 4 days. So it kind of gives you an idea of how long that can take there. Every time we wanted to isolate a particular zone, we had to install an isolation tool called a packer, which contains rubber elements. Due to very high well temperature, these packers would on average only last approximately 5 days. When they failed, we had to pull out the pipe out of the hole and replace the packer, which added on average another 4 days. So people were asking, you know, what did they ever use a packer on the last MJ01? Did it fail? And there's our confirmation that they did. And it's actually a common thing to use whenever they're in the process of well completion, which the other video that I'm going to be making should be popping up here in the right hand corner of your screen. Take a look at that. It goes over the well completion operations, and it talks a little bit about packers, and I actually watched a video on it that was pretty informative, that I took some notes on to help people understand exactly what the packers are used for. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about your future plans, and you see a very detailed explanation of what their future plans were. Okay, and so this update was extremely informative back there in 2018. So a pretty similar situation of what they're going on now, is they're saying we're at a certain point, we need some more testing done. We're not sure exactly what's going to happen. We're not guaranteeing you that it's going to be successful. And then obviously the flip side of it is this article here was extremely informative, as opposed to this one here, which was kind of, you know, pretty, I mean, it was informative in a sense, but still not nearly as detailed as that prior one there, leaving people to, again, you know, speculate, although they say that they don't want to call speculation. It's exactly what they're doing by not really providing more detailed information. So the similarity, like I said, is they're facing some issues, and the difference here is the water influx in one of their zones. Okay, the upper zone will come down here. It says we're encouraged and work remains to be done, and we still don't know if they're going to be able to produce commercial quantities. We're currently facing a downhole obstacle in the form of heavy water influx from the upper zone, inhibiting the potential flow from the lower zone. After consultation with the outside experts, we plan to isolate and neutralize the heavy water influx by procuring a 4.5-inch packer and installing it below the heavy water zone and above our primary zone, but we have no assurance that it'll be successful. Okay, so basically what they're going to do in that video that I mentioned about 2 minutes ago that popped up in your right hand corner is going to show you is kind of how the packers work, and what the purpose is basically, like I said, it's used to isolate a zone and kind of control the flow and the pressure. That way it can basically get what they want out of the ground into their back up to their Christmas tree to go and float to a pipeline with their storage container and stuff like that. So yes, you can kind of see the difference here of how the articles were back then and how they are now. But you can see that we're, in my opinion, we're kind of at a similar situation of, you know, as far as testing and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what plays out on this, how the stock reacts to this. And I know a lot of people are, you know, coming up with a lot of different situations and all this type of things. But the next video, I really, like I said, that popped up in that right-hand corner, I'm really going to encourage you to go watch that to kind of understand the process of completing the well, understand what the packer is for, the process of doing that, and the different type of packers and stuff like that. And I'm going to link those videos in that description of that video as well, so you can kind of watch the whole video and get the whole picture and kind of go from there. Okay, so as for me, I'm not speculating anything. You know, that's why I went and watched those videos, because you can sit on the internet all day and listen to all these different opinions, which some people have some good ones and some good information. However, we're not over there. We're not in Israel. We're not dealing with the rig. We're just kind of sitting here waiting on them to update us, which, like I said, will probably be in about a month to a month and a half. So the term, like someone says on our comments, hurry up and wait. Okay, so we're just gonna have to kind of wait it out. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your comments below. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.